Dave, just start by going back to Wednesday night's game at Wigan. Bit of a game of two halves, really. Just give us your assessment of it.
Um, yeah, we want to win the game, but not at the cost of putting people at risk. Um, we've got to look at it in terms of, I suppose, staff wise. We went and set up in a certain way, which players probably didn't quite grasp what we wanted. So we changed at half time. So we have to look at that and go, were we going to, I suppose, overexpose a young midfield that we went with by going and being really, really high press? So we wanted to try and be compact. What you're not going to be able to do is win football matches if you concede the goals that we conceded. Half time came, so you then make it against a cup competition. If you don't win, you're going out. So we changed it up a little bit, but always with the thought process of 60 minutes making changes and giving the lads who we're going to do a bit of running anyway after the game, chance to have a bit of a raz, if you like. And the second half was much better. Probably typical a little bit of what we've been in the last few games. We created good opportunities, didn't take them opportunities. If you do, then the game becomes a different game. I'd love to be in a situation where we didn't have injuries and we could have gone full tilt from minute one. And I suppose test ourselves against a League One team again. But like I said, that would have been too big a risk, and ultimately Saturday, in the grand scheme of things, is far more important than what Wednesday night was.
And in terms of the positives you can take from that second half as well, even before the changes, you'd sort of just started to seize control of the game, really. Obviously had that big chance for Joel Cotterill just before you made the changes as well. So some positives there in terms of performance second half.
Yeah, like I said, the whole second half was a positive. That's what we focused on. First half, I thought we started okay in terms of game plan of what we wanted. So we wanted to try and be a little bit off. We work out what they were doing in terms of their shape and try and, I suppose, set traps and counter attack. We then conceded a goal and were poor from that point on. And the biggest disappointment would have been, or was it, that in possession we provided nothing apart from Jaden one time getting 1v1 with Kellen Watts down the outside, putting a cross in, and Powley having a header, I think, on the 44th minute or something like that. So we needed to do more with the ball in possession. I think we were a bit safe and reacted to the goals we conceded, and and weren't expansive enough in terms of wanting to run forward when we won the ball back. But as you say, the second half, knowing that we were going to make changes on the 60-minute mark, it was a 15 minutes to say, go on then. Especially for the three young ones, Ashton, Cody and Joel in the middle of the pitch, go and, I suppose, leave themselves a little bit open and go and try and get on the front foot and press high up, which they did really, really well. And we just needed that goal to get us back in the game. We created really good chances, and if you look at the game, not that it's a game that's played based around what the stats said, then we were well in the game and probably should have got something from it, although our first half performance didn't allow that.
Ideally on a night like that, I suppose you really just want to get through without any injuries. You did pick up one with Nick Powell going off. What is the verdict on that?
Again, I've said this before, we hope not too serious. He's had a scan today, so we're waiting on the results of that. Yeah, listen, we're, I suppose, being in a situation where you try as best as possible to minimise what you're doing and not expose players for too long in order to try and keep players fit for the games that we've got coming up. But yeah, we're in a horrible run in terms of what those injuries have looked like. Some that we have to look further into, but others that are just freak occurrences, and that's unfortunately stuck with us really from the start of the season, which makes it even, like I say, more of a really good effort that we're sat where we are. We've got a tough couple of weeks ahead of us until that window opens in January. We hope then that we can strengthen, and when the window shuts, start of February, and into the middle of February, I would hope that our squad is ridiculously strong. So because we should have players coming back from those long-term injuries that have been out, that will certainly add to the group. But we're in an important part of the season that we need to dig in and grind through to make sure we keep picking up results and keep ourselves where we are on the table.
So to clarify, then you are expecting a busy January transfer market. Has that changed significantly as a result of the injuries you've had? Have you needed to maybe be more active than you'd like to be?
No, it's not changed significantly. We're in a situation with Ibi being away on the African nations. We've the uncertainty around in Odin's loan is up. We've got loans out of the external loans that are coming or we have options on in January. So there's always going to be things happen. You have to, I suppose, review what's happened in the first 6 months of the season and think where we can strengthen. We've lost the dynamic of Louis, so can we bring in something that's of his profile, if you like, which I think we've missed since we've missed him. Not just missed his goals, just missed the ability to be a little bit different. So you have to look at all those things, but there was certainly a plan in place to be able to do that. I suppose in the knowledge that we hope that in February, March time, you do get Louis back, you get Miles back, you get Will Collar back, and all of a sudden when you add that to hopefully the squad that we've already got and the people we've managed to bring in January, we're in a very, very strong position.
In the short term, is anyone close to returning? I know last time we spoke, Campsey was close. Anyone back for this weekend?
Still close. It will probably be. He's been again running out on the grass. He potentially may join in tomorrow and be with us at the weekend. Again, I've been saying it for a while. He's certainly not far away. There's certainly risk involved in it because he's had issues with his shoulder previously. So we just have to see where that is. We hope to get him involved as quickly as possible because, like I say, we are I suppose bubble wrapping as many as we can, and we are nursing a few through that are feeling bits because in the main the same group of players have been asked to go for over this period, and that's the position we found ourselves in just due to the injury situation we do have.
You obviously set incredibly high standards during that winning run that you went on, which was always going to come to an end at some point. It's one win in the last 6 in all competitions. Is that a concern, or are you able to apply context to each of those results?
Yeah, because you can look at, I said this to the players, you can look at statistics and data any way you want. We are 1 win in 6, but 3 of those games or 4 of those are cup competitions. We are 1 loss in 16, if we want. We are 3 losses or 4 losses in 20, if we want. You can look at it however you want. It doesn't matter where we sit now. We're in a great position. We're in the position we want to be, but we're in the position we want to be in March, April, May. So again, without getting too carried away with things, you look at where we were this time last season, we were nowhere near where we are now, and we had a brilliant run that got us to the playoff final, and we were so close to getting promoted. We'll be judged on 46 games, and over 46 games we need to get enough points to make sure we finish in the top 3. If we can't finish in the top 3, then as galling as that might be for everybody, you make sure you finish in the 4th to 7th and get yourself in the playoffs. But to look into what statistics look like, you put whatever tilt you want it, positive, negative. The way I look at it and the way I've spoke to it with the players is, in my eyes, not a great deal has changed from our first 6 games to the middle 13, 40 games to the last 6 games. I can be critical and say, Wigan on Wednesday evening, we conceded 2 really poor goals and we created enough chances to win a game of football. If we win that game 3-2, then the goals we've conceded are forgotten about and the chances we've missed are forgotten about because we've taken them. That was probably very, very similar to what happened at the start of the season. We made bad mistakes and were punished for them, and we made really good chances and didn't stick the ball away. In that middle run where we were winning games, play-wise, we weren't any different. We didn't make them mistakes. We got a little bit of luck. We took our chances. that's the fine margins between winning and losing football matches at every single level. We've just got to make sure that continue to be positive in terms of what we're doing, and if we do that, then that balance will tip in our favour. If we keep creating the chances we have created, then we have too much quality to not take them, and you hope that that turns around as quickly as possible starting on Saturday.
Couple of potential big milestones coming up this weekend for players. 350 for Ben. I mean, we've spoken many times about his longevity and what an incredible achievement that is, but 100 for Maka as well. And I guess maybe at the start of the season there'd have been question marks over whether he'd reached that because of the injury problems he's had in recent years. You can see the work that he's put in to make himself a little bit more robust in the time that he's been out injured, and he seems to be reaping the benefits from that.
Yeah, it's tough for Maka because that's always been the thing with him. He's a young player in terms of games because of the time he's missed through injury, and that's plagued him over his whole career, and hence why, from our perspective in the summer in terms of recruitment, even last year we brought Noyle in. Now we didn't bring Noyle in to replace Maka. You just know that statistics tell you, and the past tells you, that normally for Maka over the course of a season he plays 25 games maximum because he has misfortune with injuries. The way he plays, he's an explosive player that's quick. He's light as a feather. So when he does get hit, they normally look significant hits, and when he does get injured, they're normally significant injuries that tend to keep him out. He's, touch wood, avoided them as best as possible, and has probably had his longest run of games in terms of what that looked like. And I go back, I had him at Hartlepool for a while on loan, and then he obviously came here. But from that point on, he has had little bits and bobs. We hope as much as possible that he can continue doing what he's been doing. And the aim for him, not just in terms of his consistency and his form and his performances, the aim for him is to get a full season. If he can get a full season injury-free from when he started to obviously the end of the season, it'd be a fantastic achievement. The milestones will then come for him in terms of the amount of games he's played, because if you look at it separately, for him to have played 100 games over the time that he's been here is probably not a massive achievement, because certainly take the injury away, they've got that milestone a long time ago.
Coming.
Yeah, so hopefully he's beyond that now, and he can stay fit as long as possible and continue to produce good performances.
And just finally looking at Morecambe, going really well under Derek Adams, and have obviously been rocked a little bit by his departure to Ross County. Is it difficult to know what to expect from them because of the change of manager, because of circumstances changing? No,
not really, because they've been very consistent in terms of their team selection that they've picked. You can look at, like I say, their league form, losing significantly to Wrexham and losing at home to Newport, but in the last 2 rounds of the Cup have gone to Lincoln away and have gone to Wickham away, League One teams, and won. So we know exactly what to expect. They've not had to, again, it's the difference if a manager goes in to a manager from the outside goes into a struggling team or a team that's not been performing, the likelihood is that they make changes, whether that be in personnel, system, philosophy of what you're doing. It's not. Jed was in there with Derek, and John's still there, both who I know well. So from their perspective, it's just been keep things turning over. They've had a couple of bad results in the league, that happens, but they picked up a really good winning the cup, and they'll want to take that momentum into the league game. So we know what we'll come up against. We've got to make sure that we take care of our stuff, really. And if that's the case, that we know that we have an opportunity to go and win a game of football, we'll do everything to make that happen.
I suppose it's always been difficult to judge quite where they're at, because for the last couple of months they've had 2 games in hand. If they win, then they're right up there. Are they a team you view as potential promotion contenders?
You have to, based on where they are in the table. So it's always hard with, I suppose, teams that have been relegated and come down a division, because you're unsure as to the impact that will have in terms of them moving forward, confidence. They've brought in some younger players. They're a pretty young team, so that there's inconsistencies within that. But they've shown that they've won games this season that on paper you maybe would have said no, you wouldn't fancy them to win that. So they've got themselves in a position based on how they've performed. So they'll fancy themselves to keep plugging away. I suppose with quite a large group of teams that are in and around the playoff positions, and I want to stay there for as long as possible. And if they can put a run together, like you say, when the games in hand that they do have, they can certainly promote themselves up a few more places in the table. So they're in it. Why can't they be one of the ones to challenge?
Appreciate your time as always, Dave. Thank you.
Welcome. Cheers. Thank you.